G'day guys, how are we going? Well, we're back again. Welcome back to another one of Wednesday Night Live, having a chat with you guys. And tonight's topic's going to be about using paper maps and how many of us are still using them. It's going to be really interesting to find that out from you guys as we go forward, but we'll get into that as the chat goes along. But if you just tune in tonight for the first time, Tim Bates is my name. Got a YouTube channel there, Tim Bates 4WD Adventures. Film all my trips and travels and all that kind of stuff and provide a lot of tips and hints along the way. So check it out. If you like what you see there, hit that subscribe and you'll stay in touch with everything's going on these Wednesday night chats and all the other videos we're loading up. So have a good look through that. But we've got a few guys there dropped in already. Okay, Darren, Greg, how are you, mate? Damien, g'day, guys. How you going? Start, you bastard. How are you? There's a new one. There's good name there, mate. How's things going? Ash, how are you there, guys? So, yeah, we'll get in and have a bit of a chat about this, because back in the days, the old paper maps, no driver, no hiker would ever leave home without taking them with them, But unfortunately, modern day technology, such as good old mobile phones and GPSs and endless amounts of apps now that we can use for navigation and all that sort of stuff is slowly starting to starting to replace the old school ways, how we used to sort of navigate our way around the country. So it's going to be interesting to hear from some of you guys how you navigate, and whether you're using maps or GPSs or both, but we'll find all that out as we certainly go through. Heap more guys there, Jeff and Gary, how are you guys? Damien, good on you guys. Thanks so much there for coming in. So for me, the good old paper maps, you can't go past them. I've got a bag of them here, and look, heaps of them. And you just can't go past them, and all my maps, and I've got the books here as well, the book there if I want to get myself around Australia. I've got to get rid of all these maps, too many of them going here. But that's only just a few of the ones that I've got. And, the good old ever reliable maps, they just turn up every day and they work every day and there's no updates required. They're just absolutely fantastic. But, but I come from the era, I might be showing my age a little bit, but we're going to see how many of you guys here are going to be a bit honest here. How many of you guys remember these things? These things here, the good old Melways. Who was around in those days? We're talking, 70s, 80s and 90s. The good old Melways. Here we are here, that edition there. What edition is that one? That edition 22 for 1993. The good old Melways. Back in the days where you had to navigate your way around. This is what, each page should look like, it was a map like that. And you had to actually read the maps and find out where you're going to go. And I don't know how many arguments that you probably had where you had to turn the Melways upside down because you didn't know your lefts and rights and all that sort of stuff. But hey, that's where we come from, from those days where you just had to navigate with maps and books and that sort of stuff because there wasn't any of these sort of fancy gadgets and GPSs and all that sort of stuff to help you get yourself around the country. But what have you guys got there? Greg, got the rooftops and a heap of maps. Got the iPad sitting with the iPad cradle. Yeah, look, you got a good combination going on there. Shannon, how are you, mate? Good to see you dropping in. What's that? Vec Blaster, you got uses the UBD, whatever that is. I'm not quite sure what that one is. So that's sort of so we're sort of come along with those sort of things. And actually, with the as far as the Melways goes, you might have to be, if you were born in sort of the late 90s to over 2000, you might have to jump on Google to find out what these things actually are, these old Melways, because you've probably not even heard of one. So you might want to check those out. But the old Melways certainly gone by the wayside, and modern day technology. And look, and I'm certainly one too. I certainly don't have the old Melways anymore. But if I've got to go somewhere and find a suburban street, that sort of stuff, or I just punch the address into there and just follow it and away I go. But when we're going to start talking remote places, like high country and central Australia and all that sort of stuff, well, it's probably a good idea to have a good combination of both. And, and that's the thing, with the maps, I'll just use a smaller one here. And, because, you can see the whole area, that's one good thing with a map, you can see your whole area and you might be able to, they're great for planning out long distance and and all that sort of stuff, with the maps as opposed to, your GPS, because they're only a sort of a small screen, or iPad, whatever you're using. You got to scroll through pages and pages and pages of stuff to sort of see where you're going. So, any sort of trip planning, that's where the maps are certainly vital for, your long distance plan. Lay your map out, you can plan out your whole trip, pick out all your sites and all that sort of stuff. And that's where the maps are certainly very handy. Biggles, what's going there, mate? They were, marriage, righto. We'll leave that one right where that one is. Jump into that. G'day, Steve. How you going there, mate? Good on you. Maps are good to see all. They are. Certainly, Corey 44, they are, mate. Great for planning out long distance things. But, as good as these technology things are, even though I don't sort of own a GPS, but I don't need one for the iCountry, that's for sure. And I very rarely even got a full map out. So, look, if I was ever going to go Central Australia or somewhere like that, I'd certainly still take my map book, still take the book and maps and those sort of things. But, I'd probably look at getting a GPS if I was going to do, some sort of remote Central Australia stuff, just for those reasons. But the downside with these, I mean, as fantastic as they are, they give you up-to-date pinpoint location and all that sort of stuff, and elevations and, all that sort of thing, direction, compass, all that sort of thing on where you want to go. I still come from, how many of you guys if you still use one of these, I still carry one of the old-fashioned compass around, my kit, if I have to set a map up and still use the compass to do all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, the modern day technology, as great as it is, at the end of the day, it's a power operated thing, and and they can have issues with one just powering up full stop. Batteries can go flat. You can have issues with your GPS trying to pick up satellites from up above, because that's how they work. There's no phone reception required for using GPS, so that's one good thing. But you're still going to be able to pick up satellites, and cloudy days can sometimes, and if it's, that sort of thing can affect them and drop them and that sort of stuff. Well, they can get damaged and those sort of things. Whereas good old Map Faithful, none of that, no updates required. Like, just when we talk about updates, like this map here, right? I'll show you this one. This is one of my maps. This is the Mansfield run, and have a look at the date on that. 2004 is this edition, right? So this map is nearly 20 years old, and it's still current today. And I can tell you now, in probably another 20 years' time, you'd still be able to use this same map, because things haven't changed that I know of. There's no new maps, no new tracks that I know of, just when you're using just this one map as an example. There's no new tracks that I know of that have turned up in that area over the time. So 2004 is this map, and it is still current today. Shows you all the sites and everything you want to go and see. So that's where, it's really good to have a bit of a balance, between your electronic gadgets and certainly your maps and that sort of stuff, so you can plan out and see where you're going to go and that sort of thing. But so that's why I certainly still have my maps, and they're just fantastic, and they turn up every day. They never go flat, and no backups required, and they're just fantastic. And then I've had people say, that they've got sort of, these are all the rooftop maps. We've been through this one before, but they reckon they've got all their maps, uploaded onto electronic devices, their iPads and that sort of stuff. Well, that's all great, so you don't have to carry all the paper stuff around. But again, you've still got that problem with an electronic device, maybe not going to work for you on the day you want it to work. And then when it comes to planning out your trip, you've still got to scroll through pages and pages and pages to, see where you're going if you're going to plan your trips out using the paper map version on your electronic device. So, and I know a lot of maps are getting hard to get, and this one particularly is one that I've heard is getting pretty hard to get hold of. So my hot tip is, I'd be buying up as many paper maps as you possibly can. If you're talking about travelling around, particularly the high country or anywhere, travelling around for long term, I'd be buying as many paper maps up as you can, because, as I say, tracks, and not very many new tracks ever get cut in, and that's only one map that I'm talking about there that's nearly 20 years old, mate, and it's still current today. So, you want to grab your paper maps, but and know how to use them too. That's sort of another thing. Like, you wouldn't want to go, just with your GPS, or your electronic devices, going to go on a big trip through the iCountry, for example, and you think, just last minute thing, we'll drop into a servo or whatever, or shop, and we'll just quickly buy a map of the area, just chuck it in the glove box just in case. Well, that's probably not a good idea either, because you want to know where your trip's going off the map before you even start looking at your GPS. So, you know, just in case something does go wrong, the last thing you want to be now doing is having to jump into your glove box and pull this brand spanking new map out and try and work out where you are on that map and work out where you're going. So, you know, there's all those sort of things too you're going to take into account. G'day, Gary. What do you got going there, mate? Cracked the screen on the VMS, making it useless. The paper maps I haven't had a chance. No stress, and that's certainly one good thing. The VMS there, look, I have had one of those in the past and had a few dramas with it, but you know, it's just the way it sort of goes. Steve, yeah, love the paper maps, mate. I think everyone's pretty much on the paper map still, and it's good if you can, because you know they are going to get harder and harder to get as time goes on. So get hold of your maps, and as I've said in past videos, you know, these are all laminated, you know, so, you know, they're not going to rip, and you can fold them up and all that sort of stuff, even though I never ever fold my maps. And, yeah, but they can get crunched up, you can stand on them, and they're still going to back up and work for you as soon as you stand on them, whereas, you know, sometimes your electronic gadgets might not work like that. So that's why, yeah, it's a good combination. So get the two of them working together, but with any sort of trip planning, you want to do all your trip planning off your big paper map, lay it out, mark out where you're going to go, and know exactly where you're going off your paper map, not off your GPS or your electronic devices. They're just there for backup and, you know, and to show you where you are, where you're going on the tracks and that sort of stuff, but, you know, for pinpoint location and that sort of thing. But it's just those few issues potentially with the electronic devices you've got to be aware of. Troll Adventures, what's going there, mate? General store at Dargo has a good selection of maps. They do, mate. They do have a good selection of, particularly the rooftop maps in the general store there at Dargo. There's a few of them, Lacola General Store, they've certainly got a few good selection there. There's quite a few still places around where you can get them, but they are going to wind up, you know, as time goes on. You know, unfortunately, you know, electronic devices are going to take over because, you know, it's just a lazier way, I suppose. You know, it's just too easy. Just turn on your GPS or your iPad, whatever, and away you go. But, you know, there's just those issues that you could have if one of those electronic devices failed and you haven't got a map. Well, you know, then you're in all sorts of trouble. So it's really good, you know, having those two working in hand and making sure then you've got no dramas going down the track. Chris Burr, what's going there, mate? Where's the best places to get these maps? Not sure where you live, mate, but even still some of the major camping stores still sell them. But if you trip around the high country, you know, most of the places, you know, that a few people have already mentioned there, Dargo certainly sells them. Those sort of things. Lacola General Store certainly still sells a good selection of all the maps. But it's certainly well worth checking out if you don't have them. And you can have them for long term. You know, you can and look after them. As I say, get them all laminated. Sometimes they come laminated. Some of my maps were already laminated when I bought them, but any that haven't, I've had them all laminated, and they just stay in mint condition. Like I say, look at that one. You know, it's still like brand new, and it's over 20-year-old, that map. So that's the best way to keep them. And yeah, and just work your plans in with both of them. So what's going there, mate? Biggles, Aussie Disposals. There you go. Aussie Disposals usually have a good selection of rooftop maps. And as far as the high country goes, rooftops maps are absolutely the way to go. They're absolutely fantastic. The detail they give you and the information they give you, yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. So, but we have sort of talked about that with some other videos that I've done about what maps I use for the high country, and yeah, rooftops are certainly the ones there. Andrew Bartram, what's going there, mate? What are some good trip options for people that don't have modified four-wheel drive vehicles in the high country? I want to get out with a partner and go camping with a partner without having to spend a heaps. Look, I get asked sort of that one quite a little bit about where sort of places for those sort of people to go, and I always suggest, it's not a good time now because the gates are shut, but I always suggest around that Mansfield area, out from Mansfield, sort of King River, up around Craig's Hut, around the bottom of Craig's, over Craig's, and you know, Lovick's Hut and that sort of stuff. They are really good areas for people sort of, you know, want to get started out and go and dip their sort of toes in a bit of full driving. Some good tracks there. You'll see some amazing country. But as I mentioned, you're going to have to wait a few more weeks until the gates all open up that first Thursday, which is not far away. First Thursday before Cup weekend is the official opening. But yeah, that's certainly a good place to start there, Andrew. Over around, if you're over that side, get in around that Mansfield area, and I've got some couple of videos there on my YouTube channel there where you could probably check some of those out too, which give you some good ideas down through the King River and that sort of stuff. So we're checking those out. Troy, maps are great to sit around the house and plan out a trip. They are, mate. Nothing better, you know, when you're planning out the big trip and lay all the maps out on the table, maybe a couple of coldies while you got it going on, and have your mates around and plan it all out, and, you know, lay all your maps out. That's absolutely, you know, great times, you know, if you plan out a big trip of a lifetime, and check all your maps from there. And as you know, as we sort of spoke about before, you know, that's where you want to know where you're going before you even leave home, is off that paper map, and know where your trip's going. Quarry, take your stock car anywhere. Yeah, well, kind of depends where that means, but it's going there cruising with Borgie. What's going, mate? Bit of off topic, but damn that breakfast. That breakfast did look good the other week. Well, mate, it was an absolute cracker. That ultra mega breakfast sandwich that I whipped up there the other week. Absolutely fantastic. So we'll be doing a few more of those. Got some plenty more cooking videos coming up, so look out for those. Glenn, are there any maps showing our way out of COVID lockdown? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Rooftops make a map for that one just yet, but I think it's not far away. So just going to have to hang in there a little bit longer, unfortunately, there, mate. And hopefully it's not too much longer before that all goes on, where you guys can certainly get back out again. That would be unreal. Mark, tried to get a sneaky look at your new setup as you drove past me the other day. Oh, right, not sure where that was. Yeah, the back patrol's come along pretty good. It's in getting some electrical work done at the moment for a few things going on in the back there. So we're in the closing stages, mate. So it's not far off being finished, and it's looking $1 million. I'm really happy with it. And yeah, just a little bit off topic there, but yeah, I think it's going to surprise a lot of people, because it's not going to be probably what everyone's expecting, but it's going to be fantastic. But we'll leave it at that anyway. Go, John and Kat, planning a meet and greet session when COVID is over. That'd be awesome. Be good to catch up with, you know, a number of you guys. You know, I was looking to maybe do a trip later in the year, but as I did last year with YouTube and that sort of thing, caught up a few YouTubers there off the page, but probably not going to happen this year. It was Cup weekend last year, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. Okay, Steve, if the borders can open Christmas, we might head to the high country. Want to come? Well, mate, if you're coming down from Queensland, certainly give us a yell out, mate. It'd be good to catch up with you and Karen again, that's for sure. It's been a long time. Mark from Traff. Yep, there we go. Well, yes, he was out on the road a little bit today and yesterday, but I might have to black out the windows. I'm going to be driving around so you can't get in and have a look at it. But we'll see how that all pans out. What else have I got here with that? We've sort of covered pretty much nearly all of that sort of stuff. But, you know, as I say, you know, just get those paper maps and get them laminated and keep those going, and the GPSs and that sort of stuff. Look, they're all fantastic. I'm not saying, you know, you don't have GPSs and that sort of stuff, because they are a fantastic safety device too. You know, for showing you exactly where you're going, and they can, you know, if you do get lost, well, they can certainly probably lead you way out, or you can even follow your way back out. But there's lots of advantages with certainly having those electronic gadgets. Don't worry about that. But there's also lots of advantages by having the paper format as well to work side by side with each other. Well, there you go, guys. Well, I think we might finish with up. And anyone else got some things going on there? Ross, what's going there, mate? How's things going, mate? How's that patrol? It's going all right, mate. You're just going to have to wait a little bit longer to see what's going on with the patrol. Won't say much more on that. Leroy, digital maps is for backup, and paper maps is for the way. Spot on, mate. Absolutely on that one. Yep, plan your trips out on those paper ones and take those electronic gadgets as your backup devices for sure. C-Dub, what's going there, mate? Thanks, Tim, for the info. 20 PSI, 18 PSI. Keep the shiny side up. 18 PSI works for me in the front, and yep, 20 in the back, mate. Works every day of the week in the high country. But unless it gets wet, then I might look about dropping them a bit more. But that's pretty much my standard stuff. Okay, Brian, how you going there, mate? They're good. Troy, It's a dying art to use a compass in a map. Look at his maintenance. Probably not too many people would know, and that's the thing, with the old compass. One of these and one of these. Be really interesting to know how many people even know how to set one up and set it up properly. So it's facing true north, because they've got a north arrow on the map there to show you where north is. But unless you know which way north is with your compass, well, you can't really set it up. So yeah, there's certain, and that's how, going back to the old scouting days, the old paper maps and that sort of stuff. We navigated all our hikes with paper maps and the good old compass, mate. That's sort of how we did it all. And the old school ways, there's still some damn good reasons why you want to hang on to some of those old school technologies and then the way we used to do stuff back in those days. And that's why I sort of hang on to it as much as I can now, even with not so much even with navigation, but even just the way I go camping and the cooking and stuff like that. Those old school ways are just absolutely fantastic, and I just love it. So there we go, guys. That was a great topic there. Plenty of people there still interested in still in maps and that sort of stuff. And I would like to know if there's anyone got any comments, they can chuck them down below. I'd really like to know how many people, one, remember these, and two, is there anyone that had to go and Google what a Melways actually is? That I'd be really interested to know. I reckon there's probably a few out there that don't know what a Melways book is. But geez, they did cause some arguments, fair dinkum, with turning books upside down and not knowing where your lefts and rights were. And they were good days, the old Melways. So there you go. Righto, guys, we'll wrap this one up. And JT, so when are you doing the follow-up maps and to the fantastic Darwin? Well, we've got to get up to Darwin first, mate. I was up there actually about 12 months ago. It'd be good to get back up there again at some stage, but just not quite sure when that's going to be with everything's going on. Patrol Australia, perhaps the maps reading and Vic and Compass video. Well, that could be a good short one. Could certainly show you how that's all done, because it's still something that we should still know how to do even today. Like, again, my phone, it's got a compass on it, but again, it can fail. And, if it doesn't turn on, well, or goes flat, you haven't got your charger and that sort of stuff, well, then you don't have your compass. So, the old school ways, they're still very, very relevant, even still in today's with all today's fancy gadgets and technology. Those old school ways will get you through, and if the fancy stuff fails. So there you go, guys. Who's that? Still got them, Melways. Stanley J. Mitchell. There you go. Still got one, mate. I'd be hanging on to that. It's probably a damn collector's item if it's in any good nick. Well, there you go. Still got one. That's unreal, isn't it? Oh, they're all coming out of the woodwork now. Got my old man's Melways from 1980s still. There you go. Beat up a bit, but works fantastic. Well, there you go. 1980. And, yeah, mate, it's probably a bit knocked around, but, hey, there's not many. Well, there might be a few new streets. That's the only thing with books like that. There's be a stack of new streets that wouldn't be in it. Whereas the old paper maps, as I say, that map I showed you earlier on for Mansfield, 2004 was addition. There's no new tracks that I know of in that whole map area. So, that map is still very, very relevant, as all the other ones that I tipped out all over the floor before, all still relevant today, because, there's not many new tracks get cut through, but heaps of new streets around suburbia get cut in with new housing estates and stuff like that. So, interesting to have a look through your old Melways in 1980 and see what streets were around back then as of what's around now, mate, because I think there's going to be a massive difference. That is for sure. Well, there we go, guys. We'll wrap this one up now. Oh, they're all coming out. There you go. Still got the Melways today. I love it. Righto, guys. Thanks very much for tuning in tonight. And we'll catch up with you guys next week. You guys have a safe week and big weekend. And let's hope we can start seeing some of you Melburnians getting out and about very, very shortly. In the meantime, have a cracking week and stay safe. And there'll be a new video out next Monday night. What's that one about? No, I won't tell you. You'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be a good one too. Good on you. It's actually an old school one. So good on you guys. Catch you a bit later on, and we'll see you a bit later on. Hooroo, guys. See ya.